Now, all right, and hopefully my internet stays with us. It's been kind of janky today, the last couple days.
I had a nightmare about that last night, actually.
Yeah?
Oh, what happens if my router just decides to quit halfway through?
Yeah, right in the middle of the show. When I was doing an episode with Harrison Cricks, and halfway through the episode, I went to like switch windows and just full on shut off the stream. I just killed it.
I watched the recorded version of that, so it was a little cooler for me. But
yeah,
anyone watching live probably had a fun experience.
Yep. Oh yeah. Cool. All right. How was your day? You have a good day?
I did. I'm doing a lot of video editing at work, so it's stressful. I need a rough cut by tomorrow morning.
Is that something you do frequently, video editing?
Lately, yeah. I mean, I started doing 2D work, graphic design background, but 90% of my job has turned into video. I don't know how it happened or when it happened, but that's what I'm doing.
I ended up doing a lot of video stuff too. It just kind of went that way. There was a point in my life where I could have gone as a career doing videography and editing.
Yeah, I'm learning as I go, so it's kind of stressful.
Yeah, I did. Fortunately for me, I lucked out. I had a very robust video program when I was in high school, so I learned a lot of editing, both linear and non-linear editing stuff. When I was a youngster, it was handy.
I'm relearning it. I did a little bit in college, of course. I mean, you know, go to school for art, you're going to dabble in 3D, you're going to dabble in video.
Oh, yes. I know it. I went to college in the year 2000.
Oh, I'm not far behind you, man.
Yeah, well, they didn't. My major was computer art, and no one really knew what that meant. So they were like, Photoshop and After Effects and just all the computer programs. Just make them learn all those.
Flash was macro media. The good old days.
God, Flash sucks. I hate Flash.
I haven't touched it in a decade. I don't know.
Oh God. All right, yeah. Our Dreamweaver. Oh.
It's still there.
Yeah. All right. Looks like people are showing up. Let's get this show on the road.
Love it.
Cool. Hey everyone, welcome to Prop Live, the live video show on the internet where I, Bill Duran, and a guest usually will answer your prop and costume making questions. Because my wife is helping out, we are getting guests more frequently because we're on top of that. So thank you, Britt, for holding my feet to the flames. Yes. So this week we have another wonderful guest. This is Gary Sterley. Those of you who might know him because he made, among many other things, a really amazing Warhammer armor thing that I briefly saw at Dragon Con.
Oh, man. That was so frustrating. Every time I saw you, I just happened to be out of armor.
Yeah, the only time I actually saw you in the armor, you had the legs off, and there was just like a dwarf torso armor going up the escalator.
There's travel mode engaged. Whenever I have to get from point A to point B, I have to kick off the stilts because I move a million times faster.
Oh, yeah.
Carrying my feet behind me. It's really funny to see, though.
That is definitely the sort of costume where you need a handler.
Oh, 100%. I can't even get in it without somebody's help.
Yeah, totally. For those of you who are new to Gary's work, we'll share this little doodad here. If you go to Facebook and look up Gary Sterley Studios, you can see his page there. You should like it because he's making more and more awesome stuff all the time, including this crazy awesome Warhammer armor, which is really cool, with the big articulating hand. That was a big selling point for a lot of people.
Oh, yeah. That's a hit. People love that.
My new favorite thing that you're working on, of course, has got to be this this helmet from Destiny, this Warlock helmet.
I brought that today too, as background.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. I want to make a Titan helmet, so look forward to that. Sometime soon.
I'm very excited to be part of the Cool Kids crowd. I missed the Skyrim boat.
Yep.
Skyrim armor, and I'm in a Warhammer 7-foot suit. I was like, oh man, wouldn't it be great to be part of that crew?
Oh well, there's going to be
I think I'm gonna hit it.
There's going to be quite a Destiny crew, I think. Stephen K. Smith is going to have his hunter armor and that amazing mask that he made.
Yeah.
I'm making Titan. We got a lot of cool stuff coming on. So anyway, folks, go over to Facebook. Is there anywhere else people should go to check out your stuff, Gary?
I have a Twitter that I generally repost what I'm posting on Facebook. So if you have one or the other, you'll get all the updates.
Look up Gary Sterley Studios. I'm excited to see what you got coming on next. That video you did with mold making for your helmet.
Yeah.
You said that was one of the first molds you made?
That is the second. The first was a 2-part block mold for this guy, the hunter's knife.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, it's crude in comparison to the other one. But yeah, first helmet, first jacket mold.
Well, color me impressed because you were extremely meticulous. I think you put like 8 layers of silicone on that thing.
I did.
That was
really
probably unnecessary, but it got the job done.
It's not as thick as you might think for being 8 layers.
Yeah.
They weren't horribly... I didn't overdo it that much, but...
No, but it looks great. Looks good.
I'll credit the community for that, because I scour the internet before I start doing things. I watched Wolf and Slushcast Drunk like 4 times, and Jay and Wendy and Courtney have that video where they did their Zero helmet. That one's really helpful, because they have good commentary.
I did... we posted a Throwback Thursday today. Actually, I want to bring this up because it's funny. I made some Protoss pylon lamps a long time ago.
Right.
Like 3 or 4 years ago. And I was pretty proud of how they turned out. But this was some of the very first mold making that I did. See it here. There's me contemplating my my Protoss pylon lamps. It's cut to the mold making. These are I think the second molds I made. And they are miserable. They are so terrible. And I think I've since cut them up. I can't make them anymore. But like the gem part that I made, there are no registration keys in there because I didn't put mold release between the 2 halves, so it just fused together, and I had to carve it out with a knife.
Oh my god, that was my worst fear. Yeah. I had that thing all buttoned up, and it's just hard shell, and I'm like, it's not gonna come apart.
Yeah. And there's that brief moment, too, when you're trying to peel apart the 2 layers of silicone where it doesn't feel like it wants to come apart, and you're like, oh, God, oh, no, oh, God. And then it pops apart, and you're like, yeah!
It's a small celebration.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I like the helmet. It's looking really great. You're doing a whole set of Warlock armor to go with that?
Yeah. I'm finishing out the Warlock. Behind me is mock-up number 2 of the jacket. Sewing, man, I tell you what.
Oh yeah, it's the worst.
Sewing. I've had the help of my wife now, though. She's my little sewing slave lately. I put her on the machine and make her do all the big stuff.
Good plan.
Doing that whole costume, and then after we finish that, I'm gonna try and build out a hunter for Angela, my wife, so she can enjoy and be part of the fun instead of following me around.
It's always more fun to cosplay with your significant other.
Oh yeah,
that's what I think.
I'm excited for her because she goes to all the cons. She's with me wherever I go, but her costume is a backpack full of my stuff.
She cosplays as a cosplay handler.
Pretty much, yeah.
There we go. All right, this worked out. Cool. Well, that's awesome. Before we get started with the questions, which they're coming in, we got some from earlier today as well. I have a couple of announcements for myself. This comic convention we have here called Emerald City Comic Con out here in Seattle, which is amazing and super fantastic. It's been really getting awesome the last couple of years. Well, they invited me to be a cosplay guest at the convention, which is really exciting. And of course I said yes, because it's going to be really fun. We have a couple other cosplayer guests like Annie Mia and Ivy Doom Kitty, who are also really, really cool. I'm going to be doing some panels on prop and costume making. I'm going to have a booth where I'm going to sell stuff, I think. And what I'm also doing, I'm judging the cosplay contest. So if anyone is in the Seattle area and you want to come hang out at the coolest convention in the Northwest, then Emerald City Comic Con is the place to go.
That's full schedule.
Yeah, well, not only that, 2 weeks before then, I will be in London.
Whoa.
doing pretty much the same thing, only at London Super Comic Con. So I'll be running panels there, doing the costume contest. I'll have a costume on, of course. The plan is to have my Destiny armor done by then.
Color me jealous.
Yeah. I'm going to have Yaya Han's going to be there, and Kamui Cosplay is going to be there, my friend Svetlana. So that's going to be awesome. Go see what the cosplay scene is across the pond. Other than that, I am ready to go. You ready to answer some questions, Gary?
I hope so.
All right. Pressure's on.
Info, yeah.
Here we go. We got a question. This came in earlier today on my Facebook page. This is from Jay Cosplay, a frequent questionnaire. If you have to infill a large cavity on a prop, such as the big Warhammer gun, what would you recommend using that would not add much more weight?
Oh. Okay.
So
well, I can tell you what I did.
Yeah, what'd you do on your gun?
Well, that one's pretty simple. The sides are parallel, so the cavity is the same space all the way across. So I just ran extra pieces of half-inch foam laterally every now and again to make sure that the side panels don't get too wobbly. It worked pretty well. I don't think you'd need much more than that, because after 2 layers of half-inch foam, it's going to be semi-rigid. But
right.
Outside of that, maybe just off the top of my head, expanding foam, though that could get messy.
That's what I was thinking, is using something like a rigid expanding foam. But I like your idea of basically building a skeleton out of the EVA foam on the inside.
Yeah.
You don't, like you said, you really don't need much.
Yeah.
Trying to
like
see.
that.
You got a couple of photos here on the thing.
Interior shots of that.
Let's see. Here we go. We got a picture. I don't know why, but is that David Hasselhoff in the photo?
Yeah, that was totally random. Google started Hasselhoffing photos one day, and that was the one they gave me.
Yeah, there's the bolter. There you go. And I like the scale, just how ridiculously big it is.
It's great. It was probably half as tall as she was.
That's amazing. Do you know how much that weighed altogether?
Oh man, nothing. 5 pounds tops.
Yeah.
Probably less. Like.
I will tell you the rifle I have, the Mass Effect rifle that Harrison made, is about 7 pounds, I think.
Yeah.
So and that's much smaller.
Yeah.
So, yay, foam.
Foam's great. Most of that's empty space, and if my wife can hold it out at arm's length, I don't think anyone else would have any trouble with it.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm not calling her weak. She'd get mad at me.
Yeah. Here we go. This one's from Fubard Commissions. It says, what do you say to going to Dragon Con as Duran Duran with your twin brother this year and doing your own rendition of Hungry Like the Wolf, only Worgen? That's a pretty good idea. I never got that joke growing up, having a twin brother with the last name Duran.
Never heard that pun.
Let's see. What's the real question he has for me? What's the next step for you as a business?
Oh, good one, man.
Yeah. You don't do prop making professionally, at least not yet, right, Gary?
No, not professionally. I have not quit my day job, not by any stretch. Right now, I do sell some things. I just started selling casts of the helmet, but only in small batches and when I have enough free time. It's certainly not paying any bills. It basically pays for materials from me.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's really good. That's basically how I got started doing it.
Exactly.
Then it turned out I like doing that a lot more than my day job.
Yeah. Some days, man. Definitely.
For me, though, let's see. I mean, I am really sort of steering into the whole technical teaching sort of thing, the whole tutorial-driven side of what I've done. The videos that I do, this show that I do, the ebooks have been huge for me. The response I've gotten from people who have learned from the materials that I make has been overwhelming, and profitable too. People like my ebooks, so they've been buying them. So I can afford to spend more time doing those sorts of things, and that's why you see me traveling to conventions or guesting at conventions, because I'm there to teach people, I'm there to reach a new audience, I'm there to get the word out and increase my credibility as a professional. And while I'm there, actually sell things to people, sell books and stuff to people while I'm there. So as a business, that's really what I'm kind of turning into, more of an instructor than a.
Hey, as a fan, we appreciate it. The community loves this.
I am happy to accommodate.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too is I can effectively get more props in more people's hands that way.
Oh yeah.
Because then I teach them, and it's amazing because people are like, they give me credit for it. Actually, I need to show this off one more time. Website. I have this gallery I put together of armor and stuff that other people made using the Foamsmith books. And if I can learn how to do this thing, I'll show you. I call it the Foamsmith Gallery. And it's stunning. All of these people made foam armor using the techniques in the books I wrote, and they're incredible. This one is ridiculous. That's foam. That's foam. It
looks like a movie still.
I know, it's so good. So yeah, that's been really satisfying for me, and really cool. So I'm going to be doing lots more of that. Thank you for the question, Fubard Commissions. This next one is from Adam. Hey, are any of you coming to Calgary Expo or any other Canadian conventions this year?
Not I. Too far north.
No.
Maybe.
Where are you?
I'm in sunny Orlando, Florida.
No.
Right outside Disney.
I'm going to be, not in Orlando, but I'm going to be in Sanibel Island, Florida next week. Yeah. Going to go hang out with my family. My grandfather rents a house down there in the winter. So I'm going to go take my first vacation in 4 years and see what that's like.
You deserve it. You take a break.
I'm probably going to be sitting on the beach with my laptop writing.
Well, yeah. You run a business, so you don't really get a break. Yeah.
But I rented a really nice camera and a really nice lens so I can go shoot photos of animals and birds and stuff down there. So I will be enjoying myself doing that. It'll force me to get away from my computer at least.
For a little while.
But I don't think I'm not current. I want to go to Calgary Expo. I think there may have been a conflict. Expo? Let's see here. Trying really hard. It's tricky because conventions a lot of times now. Oh, April 16th to 19th. Tell me if I can make it to that. April 16th through 19th. No, I don't have anything planned for that. So maybe I will actually make it to that one. We'll see. We'll see. But I want to. I really want to. All right. Thank you, Adam. Here we go. This one's from a different Adam. All right. Different Adam says, I've recently started doing commissions on a more professional basis. Any tips on keeping headaches to a minimum during the invoicing process?
Oh, yeah. I would say be very upfront, know what you're getting into, and make sure they know what they're getting into before you start anything. Because haggling after the fact is going to be a headache for both of you.
Yes, definitely. I actually did a video kind of that outlined the commission process for me, and we'll put a link to that in the description later on. And, yeah, getting as much out in the open before money changes hands is really, really valuable. Getting it in writing, or at the very least, what I do is we'll email back and forth to come up with a price, an estimate. If I can, I will generally try and estimate just a little bit high so that after the fact I don't have to ask for more money. And then I will get 50% of the agreed upon price beforehand, before I start going. So I write an invoice for them. I send it to them with an outline that says, you know, here's the total estimate. Here's 50% of that. Just FYI, when I finish this thing, I'm going to need the other 50% plus shipping before I will send the piece to you. Just so they know that beforehand. They can't expect to get it before they've paid for it completely. And then if, for the very rare case that you finish this thing, it took a lot less time than you thought, then the second invoice can actually be less. But that very infrequently happens.
Never. Maybe something.
Yeah, yeah. So that's getting it all out on paper beforehand really helps.
That's a great question, though. You're gonna go through some bad ones before you get the hang of it.
Exactly. You're gonna undercut yourself. You're gonna forget to ask for shipping, or you're gonna underestimate how much shipping is going to be.
That's happened so many times.
Yeah,
UPS has this back end that you're gonna get charged extra money for, even beyond the shipping quotes.
Right.
So that's a whole headache.
Yeah. What I like to do is I do all my shipping through the post office.
Yeah.
Because I can pay for it, but like before they've sent me the invoice, I can actually weigh it, measure it, ask them how much it's going to cost, and get a quote that says shipping is going to cost $57, and then I can turn to the invoice, put that in for shipping, mail it to the client, they pay for it up front, and then I take that money, pay for the shipping, and I send it. But I do that all on their website beforehand, so there won't be any surprises when I show up at the post office thinking it's going to cost $15 to ship something, and they're like, it's going to Australia, it's going to cost $75, which has happened to me.
Oh.
Shipping stuff to Australia is expensive.
Anything over an ocean is pretty expensive. Be surprised.
Thank you for the question, Adam. Other Adam. This one's from Kyle. This one says, for Gary specifically, what do you think about the growth of the Warhammer community through cosplay?
Oh,
Will
wow.
it live beyond the tabletop? Or also, you looking forward to the OC meetup at DragonCon?
Yeah. Wow. I've seen a lot of Warhammer now. I don't know what happened, but people love that now. I can't tell you how many times I'm wearing that costume. People come up to me and they're like, "Oh, wow, I know your build. I'm building one." It happens 3 or 4 times every con I take it to. And I've seen a huge explosion of participation on the web and the Obscurus Crusade forums and the RPF with Space Marine builds. It's pretty incredible.
If people are looking to get into that, where would you send them?
Oh, yeah. RPF is great. There's going to be builds on there, but if you're looking for this specific community, look for the Obscurus Crusade, obscuruscrusade.com. It's a Warhammer-specific costuming forum. My build's on there. The other really phenomenal builds are on there. There's a couple of standouts. Henrik, excuse me, I'm going to butcher his last name. Pylrud, he's Swedish, so Pylrud, I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. Daniel Hogue, Hassenbrow had a really nice Space Marine. But there's also a really active Facebook group, so go there too, under the same name.
Is it this site here, the Obscurus Crusade?
Yep, that's the one.
There it is. We'll have a link to that in the description so you guys can check it out. Looks like there are 2,100 members. Like that is not a small group.
It's an active forum. You're going to see a lot of traffic going through the Space Marine page in particular, but you're into Dark Eldar, there's a forum for you there too.
Cool. Awesome. Well, there you go, folks. Everything you need to know about your next Space Marine build. Here we go. This one's from Matthew. It says, "Hey guys, I hope to eventually make another large build. Yay, foam! Suggestions for stilts or risers, as well as battery packs for fans, so I don't kill myself wearing it."
Oh,
Gary,
man.
you're the guy for that.
Stilts. First piece of advice: overbuild them. They're the worst thing you could possibly break in a costume. I've done it. Don't skimp. Mine are built out of PVC. They're a little homebrew. I would just point you to my build for that. There are many, many pictures of me standing in no costume, only stilts. They're sturdy. Be aware, you're not going to be able to walk up steps, probably. I don't know what the footprint's like on your costume, but locomotion is an issue when you're in a big costume. Height, width, weight, you're a mess. So bring help.
just bring help. That's it.
Yeah.
Did you ever think of doing something like painter stilts?
I did. I priced them out. The only issue I had with painter stilts is I was unable to find anything under 17 inches, thereabouts, which is a little too tall. Those that I have built in there are only 11 inches, something around that. 17-inch would have just thrown my scale way off.
I gotcha.
Yeah, those would have been a lot more stable, though. if you're going that tall, then definitely maybe invest in some actual stilts that are manufactured well.
Here we go. Here's a picture of what you've got going on for your stilts there.
Yep. There you go.
That looks not as safe as I would hope it to be.
I've never actually fallen over. I did have one horrible, scary moment right before DragonCon, actually. Leaving a convention, I took a step, and I stepped forward, and when I went to put my foot back down, the stilt just was not there. And I almost ate it. I almost landed on my face.
Here we go. Here's another picture of the stilts there. There you go. All right.
So it's possible. I mean, if you make them yourself, those are pretty inexpensive, and they work very well for me. I've walked many miles in them, but the thing that failed me was a plastic connector, so use the metal ones.
There you go. Did you use any batteries or anything in that, or?
There are a handful. Most of my LED and battery work is pretty rudimentary, so I'm running computer fans off of 9 volts. The eye lights work off of very small watch batteries, so no huge batteries.
Sounds like something I would do. You're not going to run off of 12 volts. You're not going to zap yourself too bad. You should be fine.
Yeah, 9 volt will run a computer fan pretty well.
There you go. All right, thank you for your question, Matthew. Let's see, we got another one here. This one's from Noah. Is there a safer alternative to fiberglass for reinforcing a Pepakura helmet? I'm working on a Commander Fox for my son who is 6, and I don't want him breathing any fumes.
Ooh.
You could paper mache it, just using like Elmer's glue or anything that you would normally use for paper mache. Tell me, did you ever do this growing up? Did you ever get a balloon, blow it up, cover it in paper mache?
You pop the balloon.
Pop the balloon, and then make a Ninja Turtle head. Did you make a Ninja Turtle head out of it?
I don't believe I did. I think I had some sort of Spartan-esque helmet, but
yeah,
been there. That's great.
Well, I'll tell you what. If you have a Pepakura file, you build out the shape of it. You could, instead of fiberglassing it, put on layers of paper mache, just like my Ninja Turtle hats that I used to make when I was a kid.
There you go. I could tell him use epoxy sculpt over Bondo. I did that for this helmet. It's awesome, and you can do it inside.
But see,
fiberglass part.
You cast that though, so the finished thing is less of a concern. I think if he's gonna Pepakura something and put it right on a 6-year-old's head. You probably don't want Bondo or fiberglass would be bad to breathe in. Although I will say I've done stuff like that. Like I built a mask like that before out of Pepakura, and I sanded the inside. I cleaned it up really well, and I don't think the fiberglass was really that much of a concern. Obviously, you don't want to sand it and leave dust in there because then they'll breathe that in.
No.
But if you clean up the inside really well and seal it really well, then you shouldn't have too much to worry about. But if you are concerned, then just go with like paper mache. All right. Oh, I'm curious what awesome Pepakura thing he's making for his kid's hat.
Yeah, I love the mini builds.
Here we go. This one, another one. Oh, a tiny Iron Man. There was a tiny Iron Man running around at, I think it was Emerald City last year, or Geek Girl Con running around. He was a tiny and adorable, and he was hamming it up too.
There's a father-son Space Marine duo. It's pretty epic.
That's great. All right, another one from Fubard Commissions. A lot of people ask about removing the texture from EVA. Wondering if you've ever tried a surface planer or a sander. A surface planer has multiple rows of wide knives. Yeah, I'm going to guess that putting a hunk of EVA in a planer would end up in EVA confetti shooting out the other side. That's just speculation. I'm just guessing that's what's going to happen.
Never tried them. Don't think I want to.
He says double side tape it to a board. That might help. I don't know. I don't think it's necessary to go to those lengths. I use my belt sander to remove texture from the EVA foam, and that works just fine.
Yep.
Yeah. But I also just got my hands on some L200. and it's an EVA foam. It's a little bit less dense than floor mats, a little bit squishier, but you can get it in big rolls, and it has no texture on it, which is awesome.
The Space Marines built out of that. It was called closed cell polyethylene, but comes in large sheets, no texture either side. Sounds very similar to L200, if not the same thing.
Let's see here.
It is squishier than the floor mat stuff. It doesn't sand as well, but it's almost identical in every other way.
Yeah, closed cell foams, neoprene, polyethylene. Let's see, polyethylene foam, polyethylene rolls. There's all kinds of different cross-linked polyethylene. Oh my God! I just stumbled into a rabbit hole. Neoprene, polystyrene.
That's scraps right here. Ah. Yeah, I mean, that's what it looks like. It's not textured either side. Still half-inch thick.
Yeah, that's great stuff. The L200 is available on Amazon right now. That's where I got mine, so it's worth checking out. Let's see, polyethylene foam sheets.
I got mine at foamsource.com, I think. I believe that's it. They got a blue and white logo. If you can find that, you might be able to track mine down.
Foamsource.com looks like it's for mattresses.
I could be wrong on the URL. It's been many years.
Foam Source. No, that's the same website. All right. Well, now I know where I'm getting my new mattress. That's fine.
Yeah, well, there you go. Enjoy it.
Anyway, folks, lots of options to buy foam without textures. There we go. All right. Thank you, Fubard Commissions. Here we got one from Joseph. Let's see here. Talking about Krypton Fusion Primer. I've heard it causes your top coat to peel even if you use it with other Krypton Fusion paints. Have you experienced this? Have you ever used Krypton Fusion Primer?
I can tell you this. I've had a similar problem with Rust-Oleum using a gloss clear coat over their I think it's the 2X line, where it would just spiderweb and crack and look terrible. Just be very careful and test first. I mean,
yeah, do small-scale tests.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about a specific Krypton Fusion primer. Like, the Fusion brand is meant for plastics. Like, it eats into the plastic a little bit. I think it has. Let's see. I see the Color Master plastic primer. Maybe that's what he's talking about. I'm not really sure how much that's associated with Fusion. But a lot of times, if I'm painting something that's plastic with Krypton Fusion, I don't even bother priming it. I just spray the Fusion right on there. It sticks real good.
Yeah.
But like you said, just test it on small scale stuff, especially if you're going to layer two different paints that you are not really familiar with.
Yeah, and give it plenty of time to dry. I'm super impatient. It's probably the hardest part of making something is waiting for a layer of paint to dry. For me, but fight the urge to put a second coat on before it's cured.
Yeah, and just listen to what it says on the back, because a lot of times it'll say recoat after 4 or before 4 hours or after 24 hours. Mm-hmm. So there's a 20-hour window where it's just like, don't touch it, man. So if you're going to spray a second coat on, do it within that first window, or wait a day to do it. So whatever it says on the can, because of science, it won't work. All right, good luck with your paint. It's always a bummer to hear people. Like, my shopmate Will did something like that, where he sprayed a coat of something else on top of a previous coat, and it turned it all into pudding. Like, it just smeared. All right, here we go. This one's from Joe. Joe wants to know, what blades do you use for a bandsaw and a scroll saw? Any tips on using both? Do you have a favorite powered saw, Gary?
I have two. Both are pretty new in my toolbox, though. I bought a Dremel Moto saw, which is a small scroll saw type apparatus. Pretty handy. Not extremely powerful, but for what I use it for, it's great. It's got side cutting blades, too, which means the arm isn't a factor when you're trying to cut long pieces, which is pretty cool. And for Christmas, I got a bandsaw, but I haven't experimented with many different types of blades yet. I've just used the one it came with so far. Check back later, I guess.
Oh yeah, totally. A couple things. I love my bandsaw or scroll saw. It was my workhorse forever, but now I have a laser cutter, so I'm probably gonna put it out to pasture.
Oh man, so jelly. That's how I got that thing.
I like that you mentioned the side cutting blades. You can also get, and we'll post a link to all of this stuff down below. The side cutting blades, they make spiral cut blades, so you can cut in any direction.
Yep.
And what was the other thing? The bandsaw. I actually just bought a new blade because I broke one yesterday. Talk about a pants shitting moment when the bandsaw blade breaks. Woo! I only have. It was an old blade. It's a really old blade. It wore out. It was a 6 TPI blade for just hawing through wood, and I also have an 18 TPI blade for doing finer detailed stuff. I got a link actually from Harrison over at Volpin Props, and I'll post a link to this down in the description. McMaster Car has a really amazing selection of bandsaw blades. Let me see if I can find this real quick. Because I was talking about cutting foam with it. Cutting foam with the bandsaw is awesome. Let me search for this here real quick. Bandsaw. Buy more bandsaw blades. McMaster Car. Awesome. So if we look here, you won't even believe the selection. The options you have when you have a bandsaw. All of this stuff. You got long life multi-purpose bandsaw blades. You have normal bandsaw blades. You have bandsaw blades for thin metals, bandsaw blades for thick metals, bandsaw blades for structural shapes and metals. All kinds of really crazy awesome bandsaw blade options for you. The one I was looking at was bandsaw blades for softer materials. They have these scalloped edges here, which apparently make it kind of like, yeah, really neat, or V-toothed edge blades for cutting things like foam. Yeah.
So it won't grab it and rip it. That's really cool.
It's so good. So I'm gonna get some more of those to try those out myself. But there are many options out there for your bandsaw and your scroll saw. So I would say get both and have fun.
You never have too many tools, so go ahead.
No, I agree. Here we go. This one's from Eric. When calculating a price for a commission, how do you figure out added expenses that may spread over many builds, like paper towels, mixing cups, bondo, sandpaper, travel time, gas, etc.?
Wow, that has potential to be a complicated answer.
That really is tricky. For me, it's actually not that hard. All of those expenses are all business expenses for me. Gas in my car, travel time, sandpaper, all of that stuff, they're all business expenses. And it all just kind of gets factored in as a product of time, how much time I spend on it, how frequently I refill those materials, the tools, yeah. So like if I'm buying paper towels, like let's say 10 rolls of paper towels every couple of months, I can kind of figure out how frequently I use them for most of my builds and roughly how much that costs for me. But I will say it's a lot of guesswork. A lot of it really is guesswork. But you do have to, I'm glad they mentioned it, you do have to include all of that stuff in your commission costs. Otherwise you find yourself like, why am I broke? How come I got paid? Where'd the money go? Oh, it went into my car. It went into paper towels. It went into sandpaper.
Solo cups.
Lots of stuff. Not enough freaking cups, man. They ain't cheap.
No.
All right, here we go. Let's grab this one from Frank. Oh, thank you, by the way, Eric. Thank you for the question. That was a good one. Frank wants to know, I'm currently building an Ultron costume from EVA foam, and I'm struggling to think of a way to make a full head helmet. I don't know what material is best to make it from. Do you have any suggestions?
Ooh.
Let me see here. I gotta know someone who did that. Let's see. Chewy. There we go. Ryan Ricks. This guy, you know, go to Facebook, Frank, and look on the internet. This guy here, Chewy Changa, The Art of Ryan Ricks. This is the Ultron helmet he did, and it's freaking amazing. It's really, really cool.
Beautiful.
Now, it's likely that he sculpted and cast his very similar to the way that Gary did his helmet to get that really good refined finish. You don't necessarily have to do that. You can probably do it on Pepakura. But it is a pretty complicated build. I would have a hard time doing that out of EVA foam. It wouldn't be impossible, but it would be kind of tricky. What would you say was the trickiest part of doing your helmet that you just finished there, Gary?
Oh man, great question. Trickiest part.
Yeah. What gave you the most problems? Which part made you want to throw it across the room?
Pepakura is only as perfect as the template you start with. So this was provided by the community. I didn't build the template, but I found it lacking in a lot of the detail that I wanted. So I had to go back and add all that with goo, basically. I used epoxy sculpt instead of Bondo, but it's just piling up Bondo and then grinding it back down into these small shapes is kind of a pain in the butt.
I would definitely agree with you there. I'm building out my Titan armor from Pepakura files. I'm building the Pepakura files myself, though, which is really handy because I can look at the 3D model and know where I want to add the details and make sure that those areas get a lot of love. If you're doing Ultron, I'm willing to bet someone's got Pepakura files. If you look on the RPF, someone probably has files for Ultron. So I would dig there. That would be a great place to start.
Always.
A very complicated build. All right, thank you, Frank. Let's see. That's the rest of the questions I had from earlier today. FYI, folks watching, usually early in the day on Thursdays before the show, I will post a promo for the show. And if you can't watch live and you want to get your question in, you can ask it there, and I'll cover it while we go. But we're through with those. Let's keep going. We got a whole bunch of people asking questions live, so we're going to chew through these as fast as we can. Any tips for painting MDF? Done much with MDF, Gary?
A little bit. I have a sword that I'm working on. It's kind of a back burner project, but that's primarily MDF. I haven't done any finishing work on it, and I plan to cast it. So,
what sword are you? What sword are you making?
It's the Elucidator from Sword Art Online. It's an anime.
I made one of those.
You did a while back. I think it was a one-off.
Yep.
It was out of wood.
Probably should have cast that.
Yeah, but I plan on casting mine one day. It's
a
thing that I go to right now, and I need a break from whatever I'm working on.
I gotcha. I would say that if you're going to finish it, paint that MDF, you have to seal the cut edges, and I like to use super glue for that. It's awesome. You can just sort of brush it on the edges, and it'll soak in a little bit, and then you can sand it down nice and smooth. It's tricky because you can, if you just spray paint a cut edge of MDF, it's kind of got the fuzziness going on. So to combat that, I like super glue and then using a couple good layers of filler primer and then sanding it, and that'll help bind up any fuzzy bits and make them a little more rigid so that you can sand them down nice and smooth. So there.
Good deal.
This one here is from Supernator 9000. Any suggestions on how to make boots for an EVA costume without ruining perfectly good store-bought shoes or boots? Your boots are all basically from scratch, right? The
well, I have a mixed answer for them. I hate to do that. I intended to use my street shoes and strap them into my stilts. You can see some of the pictures. They have shoes, some of them they don't. What ended up happening was I sacrificed a pair of shoes and just bolted them into the stilts. I still kept the Velcro straps to cinch them down, but you know what? It ended up being a lot easier in an engineering point of view to just have shoes in there. So
I found, for a lot of my costumes, pretty much all of them, I end up feeding a pair of shoes to them.
Yep.
But so for example, my Trogger shoes. Hey, you know what? I'm gonna grab it. It's right here. Oh my god! Here we go. All right, I had an old pair of sneakers that I liked, and they're really gross in there. But I don't throw away my old shoes anymore. I keep them. My old running shoes are just waiting for the next costume in there. They're old and gross, but nobody cares. So here's an old pair of shoes, and these I've worn to death, so they're cracking and stuff. But there's just normal soles on the bottom.
Vans, I love it.
Yeah, I know. I love my Vans. I just got a new pair. You know that Vans make leather shoes now? They make leather Vans.
Yeah.
I got a pair of leather Vans. They're so classy. Anyway, so they're right in there, and this is all beat up, but you see how it works. I just freaking barge cemented foam right to the shoe, and like you said, from an engineering standpoint, it is way easier. It just freaking works. So that's what I would say. Keep your old shoes. Yep. Or you can go to Goodwill and buy a crummy old pair of shoes. Just use those. All right. Thank you, Supernator 9000. Here we go. This one is from Gibtall. Do you factor marketability into your decisions for what to build next? I've got some cool things on my list of stuff to build, but I'm not sure if they're popular enough to be self-sustaining. That's true. If you're making like a Warlock helmet, you want to make sure you could at least sell enough to make back your material cost.
Yes. This is a double-sided sword, really. I want to make stuff that I haven't seen before, but on the flip side of that same point, I want it to be recognizable and popular enough to where enough people get a kick out of it, not just me. So there's a balance there, at least for me, and I'm not trying to make my rent payments or anything with the helmet sales, so it's less of an issue, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
yeah, for me, it's when I do have to consider that if I'm going to build something that I want to try and sell blank copies of. I do have to think about that. But for example, I did the Carnifex from Mass Effect, and everyone wanted one of those. So when I originally got the commission to build one of them, you mentioned the Eludicator sword that I made. I had to decide if I was going to mold that or not, and I decided that it would probably be better off just to make the one-off, not spend the time and materials to cast it. I may have been behind the bullet too, and I had to get it done in a shorter amount of time. But when it came time to that Carnifex, one person commissioned me to make that Carnifex, and I was like, oh, I am molding this because I want one. And I knew a bunch of other people would want one too, so I jumped at it. Beep, beep. Other than that, I don't decide what I'm going to make next. I get paid to make what someone wants to pay me to make.
True.
I just decide if I want to mold it or not. Here we go. This is, I believe, a third Nate. We have many different Nates. How do you price out your props and costumes? So how do you came up with a figure for your Warlock helmet, Gary? Do you want to discuss how you came up with that?
Yeah, two main factors. One was cost of material. I needed to make sure that I covered the cost of my material and the price of my time. After I had a good idea what that was, I went and just researched the market, see what everyone else is selling for. I want to be in that ballpark. I don't think I'm significantly better than anybody else at casting helmets, so I need to be close to what the market is, too. So there's those factors, really.
You could also say, hey, I'm the only guy selling Warlock helmets right now. So there's a premium on that. Yeah, it depends. There are a lot of factors coming into pricing props if you're going to build something. If you're like for me, if I'm going to build a one-off now, if I'm only going to make one of them, I'm going to put the price up on it. Like there's a premium on that too. It's a single piece of something.
Right, one of one.
Yeah, when it gets to making casts of something, I can have a much more regular, affordable price for that sort of thing. But you're right, it took me a long time to figure out how to charge for my work appropriately so that my time was being compensated effectively.
That's a valuable thing. Do not underprice that, ever.
Time. I'm learning more and more that time is the only currency that matters at all. So there you go. And by the way, Nate, I did a video I called "Why Are Props So Expensive?" or "Commission Props." Anyway, I'll have a link to it down in the description. But yeah, it's basically a rundown of all of the factors that get figured in when I'm coming up with the price of something. So I'll link to that, and you can check it out later. Okay then. Got about 10 minutes left here. See how many of these we chew through. This one's from Joe. It says, could one use L200 for weapons, or is it too flimsy?
From what I know, no. Go nuts. It should be just fine.
Yep, I would say if you're gonna like make a giant sword or something, you could just reinforce the center of it with like a PVC pipe or something like that. It's all about how you reinforce the material.
Mm-hmm.
You totally make weapons out of it. I did my.
You talk about half-inch. I hope.
Yeah.
This is an issue.
I did Sword Explosion, the big Hurricane gun from Borderlands, and I wanted it to be lightweight, so I did it all out of floor mats. And I basically took a PVC pipe and sort of bent it into like a zigzag shape, like I heated it and bent it into a zigzag, so that it ran the body of the gun, and that kept it nice and rigid. That worked out. Here we go. Another question from Foosro Dave. I was looking at your plasma caster build. How did you make the mold for the 3 barrel pieces so that it had a hole in it? I need to make one similar, but I can't figure out how to use a 1-part mold like this. Oh, boop, there it goes. Let me bring that up real quick so that we can get a visual on that. But basically, there were a couple of repeated parts on the plasma caster that I made molds of. So the weird wingling things got molds, and then the barrels. There were 3 barrels that got molds. All right, let me share this thing here, and we can all check it out. All right, cool. So what he's talking about is this little green doodad here is the mold I made for these. It's a 1-part mold, and that is just a big plug on the end of it. Oh, where'd it go? That's the original that I made, and then the mold that I made. Let me see if I can open image in a new window. That doesn't help at all. Never mind. Yeah, something you could do, though, if you're worried, there's just a plug of silicone on the bottom of the mold that takes up that cavity. But if it's like really too deep or whatever, you can mold it without that hole and then just use a Forstner bit and your drill press and drill out the hole from every casting if that's a problem. Because that's not too much finishing work for a piece that comes out. The hole in that was just to allow room for electronics so that it could have lights in it, which I'll share that again. Here we go. And there are the lights. So those recesses were just for lights in there. So they didn't need to be too pretty or anything. They got covered up like that. All right. Yep. Yep. Close it. Yep. There it goes. Okay, cool. He can't figure out how to do the 1-part mold. Yeah. Just give it a try, especially if you're figuring something out like that. Do a small scale test with just a little bit of silicone to see if it works. And if it doesn't work, then just drill the hole afterwards, after you cast it. All right. Thank you, Foosro Dave. Here we go. Oh, my thing popped around. Jacob wants to know, well, how would be the best way to make a sci-fi looking gun scope? Have you looked? I did this recently, Gary. This is kind of fun. Go to Amazon and look up gun scopes. Yeah, modern gun scopes look pretty like futuristic, like sci-fi and futuristic. They look really neat. And you can actually get them. Like this one here is, that's $80. That's a little bit much. But what was it? Red Dot?
Red Dots, yeah. Look through like airsoft stuff too.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't have to be so robust that you can put it on a rifle. There's a lot of things that don't have crazy recoil that still use scopes.
Yeah. This one here is just a field sport red and green reflex sight with 4 reticles, like things you can swap out. It's $24. Like, you could buy one of those and just glue some cool like greeblies to it to make it look a little more sci-fi. Repaint it, maybe add some lights to it, and it would look like a really cool sci-fi scope.
There's no shame in not making it when it's so inexpensive.
Yeah, totally. Check. Like, some of these are a little more pricey, but look at this thing. That's so cool. Like, I want to get one of those and just glue it on my freaking on my Destiny gun. Or what else? Freaking out. There we go. Any one of these would be really cool. Like, how easy would it be to add a little bit to this guy right here and make it look all sci-fi and futuristic?
Super easy. And not that far off. I'm sure you could find something that closely resembles what you're trying to do.
Yep. So you can look up real guns, you can look up airsoft gun sites, you could chop apart like a toy gun. There's a lot of really good options out there. Cool. Well, thank you, Jacob, for your question. This one here is from Kay. Two-part question. Do I need to worry about static charge when soldering computer chips, and does solder type and size matter when working with computer chips? I have no idea.
You do need to worry about static charge. There are things called ESD bracelets and mats that you should be working on if you're really worried about it, because you can ruin something just by touching it and not know it until you try and turn it on. I've never used one, but you should if you're scared.
There you go. I ruined something. It wasn't static. I gave it too much voltage.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Nuked it.
I cooked a solid-state drive doing that.
Yeah. Oh.
My computer. Whoops.
Yep. Yeah, voltage will get you. So yeah, I guess it is a concern, Kay. But you can get those static discharge bracelets if you're really worried about it. They're very popular for when you're working with computers. I've seen them used before. Although when I work on my computer, I've never done it before.
Same,
I just touch the frame of the computer before I start digging in there.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kay. This one is from Annie. I know Annie. How's it going, Annie? Tips for making freestanding fabricated parts of costumes. Most of the wire I have tried is semi-easy to shape or bend, something I would guess like an aluminum armature wire, but it ends up bending under the weight and doing absolutely nothing. So I'm thinking like a part of the costume that like stands by itself. I'm not really sure exactly what she means, but something that would have like a structure to keep it from falling over or bending over.
I would just rethink your armature material, really.
Yeah.
If it's not holding up, then you need to go with something heavier.
Like an erector set, basically.
Yeah. Try different material, I guess. No amount of additional wire is going to make it stand up any better, I guess.
Yeah. If you need something that's lightweight, look into kite making materials. A lot of times they use thin like carbon fiber rods and stuff, and you may be able to get like elbow joints and whatnot to make like a base out of it. I'm not exactly sure.
I'd love to know what she's doing. It would make it a little easier to offer suggestions.
Yes. But there you go, Annie. There's some things maybe for you to investigate later on. Good luck. Here we go. This one's from my buddy Nathan. He says his usual question. We'll throw this at you, Gary. What is your ideal? You have a project, no limits, no monetary restraints. You got all the tools in the world. What's your dream project?
Oh man, I have a whole folder of things that I want to build that I just will never get to, probably. I'd probably err towards something with more engineering in it. I really enjoy the movable pieces. Like, you know, my hand, it's great. The fingers all articulate and stuff. People get a kick out of it. But
yeah, it's pretty good.
Right now, the new hotness is probably Hulkbuster. I'd love to do one of those. Just
yes.
Go hard, go crazy. A step-in suit. X-Robots is building an amazing one right now that I saw on YouTube. That thing's sick. I don't know, a motorized Sparrow.
Yes. Oh, they all sound so good.
Yeah. Like the big stuff. They get a big response.
Well, I'm looking forward to the next big thing you make. I'm gonna be excited. Maybe a Cabal suit? Yeah.
Oh man. Didn't Oh man, who was on here? Vector Sigma? Wasn't he talking about doing a cabal last time he was on your show?
I think so. Yeah, yeah. That would be pretty amazing.
10-foot cabal.
You could have a big shield, and everyone can get mad at you because I hate those guys. All right, cool. Thank you, Nathan, for your question there, buddy. That's gonna do it. We've been here an hour, and I'm spent.
Yeah.
I'm done with my knowledge. But I want to thank you, Gary, for coming in, hanging out on the show, and answering questions with us.
Thanks for having me. It's an honor, really.
It has been a pleasure on my end. Once again, folks, if you haven't gone over and looked at Gary's thing, I'll bring it up again, so you have no excuses. Go to Facebook and look up Gary Sterley Studios. Go see what he's got going on right now. Especially check out this freaking helmet, because it's so cool. Of course, I'm not playing a Warlock. I do have a Warlock. I'm not playing it currently, but if I was, I would totally get that helmet. And so yeah, everyone run over there, give his page a like. That'd be awesome. And then for me, if you're in Seattle, you have no reason not to go to Emerald City Comic Con since I'm going to be there as a guest. So put it on your calendars, folks. It's going to be a good time. That's it this week. We'll see everyone again. Actually, next week I'm going to be in Florida, like I said, trying to have a vacation. So we probably won't have a show next week. So I'm sorry, but I'm going to be enjoying the sunny beach in Florida, and we're not going to have a show. But the week after that, we'll be back with another episode of Prop Live. So we'll see you all then, and thank you all so much for joining. Bye!
Bye, thank you.